Mr. Navarro, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start on what the president said about coronavirus testing at his rally last night, which alarmed quite a few health experts. Take a listen.
When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
Come on now, Jake. You know it was tongue-in-cheek.
Did the president?
Come on now. That was tongue-in-cheek. Please.
I don't know that it was tongue-in-cheek at all.
I know it was
tongue-in-cheek. He has said similar things for months.
Tongue-in-cheek.
He has said similar things for months.
But you know what? We got.
But he has said similar things for months. That
over 30 million people unemployed, and we've seen over 100,000 people die because of the China Wuhan virus. Let's talk about some serious issues, Jake. I don't want to go there. I think there's some really important things. I'll break a little news for you.
I think testing is a very serious issue. I'm not the one making jokes about it. You're the one that said the president
it was a light moment.
The president was being tongue-in-cheek.
All right, we're 60 seconds into a tongue-in-cheek thing. Ask and answer it. I think what's important going on in this world today are things like John Bolton publishing a book. Here's the breaking news for you. I read the judge's decision on that, and
we'll get to Bolton in a second.
Sure, but I want to say this:
I do want
highly classified information in that book, and that guy should be turning in a seersucker suit.
I'm going to get to Bolton in a second. I want to get to Bolton in a second, but I still want to talk about the pandemic for a second. Fine, you think it's tongue-in-cheek? I'm saying 120,000 almost Americans are dead.
That was a light moment for him in a rally.
I'm not sure that a deadly pandemic where almost 120,000 Americans are really a good subject for a light moment.
Absolutely seriously. But anyway,
let me ask you a question.
About
the CDC says that the CDC says that this type of gathering, quote, large in-person gatherings where it's difficult for individuals to remain spaced at least 6 feet apart and attendees travel from outside the local area. That's CDC talking. Poses the, quote, highest risk. They also, the CDC urges it to wear masks, but that wasn't happening last night. And I guess the second question I have is, you and the administration are constantly telling the American people, us, to adhere to CDC guidelines. I respect that. I think that that's good advice. But then the president has an event like this that flies in the face of them. Isn't that a bad example?
Jake, you know this is not my lane. I'm the trade advisor on the Jobs Czar, helping the greatest jobs president in history. Ask me, example, what's going to happen on Thursday. We're going to Marinette, Wisconsin to celebrate an award for 10 ships that will employ thousands of people in the state of Wisconsin in good, high-paying jobs. At the same time, we'll create new state-of-the-art frigates to defend this nation. Economic security, job security.
You say it's not your lane, sir.
It's not my lane. It's not my lane.
I know, but it's not.
I mean, I can wax eloquent on all sorts of questions.
You wrote a memo. No.
Sure. Go ahead.
Well, you wrote a memo on February 23rd warning the administration, and I give you credit for this, warning the administration to take this more seriously. You're one of the few administration officials in the White House who took this pandemic threat as seriously as it should have been. You warned as many as 2 million people could die if serious steps were not taken. The president, on that same day, said, quote, we have it very much under control in this country. Just this week, President Trump said it's fading away. It's not fading away. Well, so that's why I'm asking you about it. You have actually been a voice of reason on this inside the White House.
Sure, and I can tell you, for example, 2 weeks ago, I went with the president to Guilford, Maine, where we stood up a factory there, which is providing the swabs we need for testing, which we are ramping up dramatically. And I can assure you, as I work across the street in my office, we are filling the stockpile in anticipation of a possible problem in the fall. We're doing everything we can beneath the surface, working as hard as we possibly can. And so that's my role in this. And to the extent that it does create jobs, that's a good thing. But this is a serious issue. But look, last night was a campaign rally.
So you're preparing for a second wave in the fall.
Of course
we're preparing for a second wave in the fall.
You prepare You prepare for what can possibly happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but of course you prepare. And I'll tell you what, we're a lot more prepared under this president than we were when China foisted this on us to begin with. And let's not forget that, Jake. China created this pandemic. They hid the virus, they created that virus, and they sent over hundreds of thousands of Chinese citizens here to spread that around and around the world. Whether they did that on purpose, that's an open question, but that's a fact. And so, my role here, Jake, my role here at the White House is to help this president create jobs. And we are facing probably the worst economic crisis we've faced in our history. And this president in 3.5 years did a beautiful job.
Let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about the economy, because wouldn't the smarter way to reopen the economy to in accordance with the health officials and those saying we need mass surveillance testing, mass contact tracing so that the virus can be isolated, so none of these states are going to have to retract and go back to stay-at-home orders. For example, just in Orange County, Florida, 2 weeks ago, the rate of positivity, the number of people getting tested that tested positive for coronavirus, was just 2%. Now it is closer to 15%, meaning it's not just increased testing that is showing more positive cases. People are actually there is increased community spread. Would not there be better chance for an economic prosperity that you want to go back to before the pandemic if there were this nationwide, truly aggressive, millions of tests a day response from the federal government?
Jake, you're missing a great opportunity here. You're talking to the trade advisor, the manufacturing advisor. I can talk about a lot of things. The only thing I can tell you about the issue of locking the economy up versus not is that many, many more people would have died if we hadn't opened the economy. And that's the struggle we're facing. The Chinese Communist Party did tremendous damage to this society and this economy. I mean, last night they tore down statues of Ulysses S. Grant and Francis Scott Key. And it's like, what is going on in this country? And it's all tied up in I think, a lot of pent-up frustration about what's going on in this world. And so my job, Jake, is to help create jobs for this president. And we got a long road ahead of us.
Right.
We have made a great comeback in the last month, but I'm telling you, there's sectors.
Can I just ask you a question?
Sectors.
Did you say that China?
Go ahead.
I just want to ask about something you said. Did you say China created this virus? Did I hear you wrong?
You did not hear me wrong. That virus was a product of the Chinese Communist Party. And until we get some information about what happened in those labs or what happened in that wet market, we know that virus was spawned in China. That is what I mean. Spawned in China.
But you think it was purposefully created?
Yeah, that's an open question, but I'll tell you this. In 2006, in a book I wrote called The Coming China Wars,
evidence of that?
On page 150, I predicted that China would create a viral pandemic that could possibly kill millions. Why did I do that at the time? Because the whole structure of that authoritarian, repressive, non-transparent society is geared towards giving us exactly what they've given us, which is a pandemic. I would love to know. So I would love to know. Hang on, Jake. You should be asking this question. You should be asking this question every day to the Chinese Communist Party.
Well, if President Xi gave me an interview, Xi gave me an interview, I'd love to.
Yeah, well, but that doesn't prevent you from asking
I'm not going to defend the
China. Go ahead.
I have been asking about the Chinese, and we did a whole special on the pandemic, and we have been very critical of the Chinese government for how it handled it. Now, we've never said that they created this purposely.
Well, that's an open question. I did not say that. Roll the tape back. What I said was that virus came out of China. The Chinese Communist Party is responsible for it. And as far as I'm concerned, spawned. Let us say spawned. And it's an open question as to how that happened, okay? But in terms of the code of justice, I'm a Napoleonic code of justice for the Chinese Communist Party. They are guilty until proven innocent because of what we know, Jake. They spawned the virus in China. They hid it for 2 months, and they killed over 100,000 Americans, and the beat goes on. And the question is, I mean, why aren't they responsible for the trillions of dollars of damage that they've inflicted on this? But look, it's Sunday morning. I think
I'm not going to defend the Chinese government. I would like to see. Let's talk about it. I'm not defending the Chinese government. I'd love to see evidence for the allegation you seem to be suggesting is possible that they
keep
created
asking
this on
for
purpose.
It. Maybe they'll give it to us. I said
I'm
spawn
sure
the
the Chinese
virus.
will hand it right over to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
let's turn to the
In fact,
Bolton
they
book.
wouldn't even let you in the
Let's
country.
turn it to the Bolton book.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Let's turn to the Bolton book. Bolton says that he was told to remove direct quotes from the book in some instances. Vanity Fair reports that Bolton had originally written that the president told Chinese President Xi at a meeting in Osaka, quote, "Make sure I win. I will probably win anyway, so don't hurt my farms. Buy a lot of soybeans and wheat and make sure we win." What's your response to that, sir?
A couple of things. First of all, John Bolton has put highly classified information sprinkled throughout a very large book. And I predict this, he will not only not get the profits from that book, but he risks a jail sentence. He has done something that is very, very serious in terms of American national security, and he's got to pay a price for that.
But did President Trump ask President Xi to help him win election?
I hate the title of that book, but I was in those rooms too, and whatever Bolton is saying about China is just silly, because this president has been the toughest president on China of any American president ever. And don't forget, Jake, there's still over $350 billion
yes or no,
worth
but
of
yes or
tariffs.
no, did he ask President? But yes or no, did he ask President Xi to help him win re-election?
Oh, come on, Jake, come on. That's a John.
What do you mean,
Bolton
come on?
fantasy.
He did it with Russia and Ukraine.
I never heard that. I was in the room. Lighthizer never heard it. He was in the room. Here's the thing about Bolton. Here's what's so interesting about him. I think what we need to do is take a serious read of the book. Everything that John Bolton was pushing here, right over there in the White House, would have made this country less peaceful and less prosperous. He wanted to bomb North Korea. He wanted to bomb Iran. He wanted to keep troops in Afghanistan.
Okay.
I mean, you have to understand this, Jake, for months towards the end of his tenure, before he got fired, the president would openly joke about, hey, John wants to bomb everything, okay? This is a guy who's like 1950s throwback to Dr. Strangelove, okay? He just, and then, by the way, he talks about patterns of behavior in the book. Guess what? When he was with Bush, right, what did he do? He quit, and then he wrote a book, wrote a tell-all, kiss-all, dumped all over George W., and now he's doing it the same.
We got to go, unfortunately.
Yeah, well,
Peter Navarro, thank you so
too.
much for your time
Take care,
today.
Jake.
We really appreciate it.